Welcome to Email After Hours by Senderscore, powered by Validity.
We're your hosts. My name is Guy Hansen.
And I'm Danielle Gallant, and this is Email After Hours. On this episode of the pod, we're going international with a special focus on personal finance. Even emailing an audience in a single country or region can be tough, but when you're expanding across multiple global markets, the challenges become a whole lot more complex. And to help us break it all down today, we are excited to have Rodrigo Brandão, whose last name is pronounced much more beautifully in his country, Brazil. He is the CEO of BrigGrowth, and he is joining us today.
Yeah, we're excited about this one with his extensive experience in scaling email programs across 48 countries, I kid you not, and building Utua, a successful personal finance platform. Rodrigo is here to share literally invaluable insights on how email marketing has been key to their growth. From navigating diverse regulations to fine-tuning deliverability, he's got a ton of knowledge to help you listeners expand your email programs globally. Welcome to the show, Rodrigo, and I want to say this is a first. I think it's the first Email After Hours guest we've ever had from Brazil, and we're seriously thrilled to have you with us today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rodrigo. I'm so glad to be here with you guys, and I'm anxious to share my knowledge and all the insights we're going to get here.
We're excited too. And before we get into it, we usually start with a little icebreaker. I've been made aware that there is a classic Brazilian joke that everything starts after Carnival. But email waits for no one. So has there ever been a moment where there's been a kind of cultural rhythm or humor that actually shaped the way that you think about your campaigns in terms of engagement or timing?
Every festive event impacts on your engagement. So we need to figure out how it's going to impact. So in the carnival, no one is seeing their inbox. So they are partying. So we need to change the time, the frequency, the content, and not just here in Brazil, but in 48 countries. So we have so many holidays, we have so many parties, we have so many times of the years that we need to change our communication and everything to fit in this time of the year for those countries.
That's a great answer. We're going to come back to some of the points you've just raised and dig into them a bit more detail in a moment. But firstly, Rodrigo, I mean, Danielle and I have heard a lot about BrigGrowth, your company, and your seriously incredible journey in the personal finance space. But some of our listeners are going to be less familiar with your company, and I was wondering if you could start off by giving us a quick rundown of what BrigGrowth is all about.
BrigGrowth is a Brazilian business hub. So we got many companies in our group. The main company is Utua. That's a financial advisor, as we can say that. So we indicate credit card loans, financial opportunities to the users who need this information. So we just group all the information the internet have spread on the internet. We just group it in a blog so the people can find the best options in one place. BrigGrowth also have other companies like a CRM operation to almost for the first moment to can fit our own operation. We create a CRM, but nowadays One Control, that is the CRM name, is going to global too. So we pretend to attend other companies. And we also have info products checkout. So the info product producers can use the Assini checkout to sell their products, right? We have other companies in the hub, but those three are the main companies we have.
And you mentioned one, which is Utua. Am I saying that correctly? You said this recommends personal finance solutions to your customers. It's one of the core brands, as you've said. From the beginning, email has been really core to the success of this business. Can you explain why?
Utua, as I said, is a financial advisor. So we run on a programmatic media business. So every time the user is reading an article, he's seeing some ads to make the business work, right? So every time I impact the user in Facebook or Instagram or even TikTok or any social media that the user is going to be impacted from an ad, he's going to be redirected to a quiz that I'm going to ask for them what product he needs. He needs a credit card, he needs a loan, he needs a financial solution. So I need to understand what's the user necessities. And at the end of this quiz, of these forms, I get the user contact information. So name, email, phone number, or anything, any channel I can send.
I'm smiling right now just because you can't imagine how many of these I've done for like skincare and makeup. I know exactly the process that you're talking about.
And I mean, when we chatted previously, I remember you saying things like, it's what's not to like. It's a low-cost channel. It's easy to scale. It generates great response rates. But, and there's always a but, email marketing in Brazil can be notoriously challenging. And I think even though you guys in Brazil have had your LGPD laws for the last few years, so audience that's like a mirror image of GDPR, there's still a lot of high volume, low segmentation tactics in your market. There's, as you just said, there's competition from other channels like WhatsApp. And just to make life even more exciting, there's a tough economic climate as well. So, it's great having an email program, but how do you make sure it performs as effectively as possible given all these challenges?
LGPD was a major challenge, not just for Utua, but for all market. We need to understand the data user is giving to us and how we gonna protect this. As you said, your market has a lot of spammers that don't even care about the user experience or the interest or if they're gonna be mad with your content. So you just send out hundreds of mails. You don't never clean your list. So everything we try to figure out on those challenges, I need to be relevant. I just need to contact users who need to listen to me. It's better to send a million emails for people who's gonna never open my mail, or it's gonna be better to send like half of this volume to people who need to really see my content.
Amen.
So I think we need to adapt our reality to every country, to every situation, to every product, to every launch we're gonna make it for a single product or campaign. But we need to be clear, and we need to make ourselves clear to the user why you are here, what data we got. We need to have a really clear opt-in and opt-out flows, so the user can, when they fill up the quiz, they have to select a box to show us that he needs to be here, that he needs to get some emails. The worst thing is the spam mark user. The user not just gonna unfollow you.
It's so interesting listening to you talk, because I think your experience echoes my experience watching the implement of GDPR. And at the end of the day, those new laws were best practices and they made your program perform better. And I feel like, that's what I'm hearing for you. So you've already answered the next question I was going to ask you about LGPD compliance, but I think we've also got some other challenges that we want to dig into, right, Danielle?
Yeah, speaking of challenges, 3 years ago, you took your first step into international markets, starting with India, which can also be a pretty tough place to execute email marketing. So what challenges did you face there? And how did you have to adapt your email program for that market?
It's a pretty huge country with a huge population that like a billion of people. So the most difficult we have is to get on the inbox. So when we decided to expand our operation, the first country was India, and we choose it because the population size and the opportunity. But there's where's the games begin. We heavily on email close and accounts. We need to complete it, adapt our operation to the country. So we need to learn about the communication preference. We need to got what language works more. So we have like we can send an email in Hindi, in English, or the in the English, like the mixture of the English and the Hindi. So we didn't know this at the first time. So we had to test to learn how it's gonna work for the users. We have local providers that will not deliver my email if my configuration, my DNS is set up in a Brazilian data center, as I could say. So we have it to try every time new communication, new templates, different sending flows, different schedules, different triggers, everything to have a great result. So every country is a new challenge. We never know how it's gonna be before we start.
And I think that leads into our next question because, talking about India, that was your first move outside of Brazil. And now you're operating in 48 countries around the world. And, presumably the challenge just keeps getting bigger and bigger because now you're dealing with different mailbox providers and different laws and different languages and even sort of different consumer behaviors and different social norms. So, with all of that, to deal with, how the hell do you make sure that your deliverability infrastructure covers all of that?
I think the data is the new gold, right? If you don't have the metrics, if you don't have alerts, if you don't have warnings that is going to show, something is going wrong here, watch up. We need to get up on every data we have to make sure everything's working. So to support an operation of this size, nowadays we are sending like 25 million emails a day. So that's so much.
That's a lot of email.
Yeah, that's 7,000 millions of emails every month. So we need to get all this data. And this data is going to show us where we need to fix and where we need to have some attention. It's not the engagement data. Or the user is open, the user is clicking, the user is going to my website. But I need to also follow the error problems like the spam, the bounce, the block, the invalid emails, the churn rate. So we need to keep our eyes on every metric. We need to have like an organization between domains and IPs for regions, but that's not a playbook rule. So not like we have some domains to run Utua, but not every domain is categorized by region. So utua.com.br works on countries in every continent. So we have like South America, we have North America, we have India in the same domain. But I have separately IPs to each region. So we need to try out everything. And as I was saying, every country is a new challenge. Every country is a new product.
Yeah, I can't imagine how difficult that would be with scalability. And I just like to your point, Argentina in Chile, they are not just Spanish speaking like versions of Brazil. So what works in one is not going to work in another. And you mentioned before, when we were talking about India, how you even had to start doing kind of like a trial and error testing process with content, even when it comes to like a language perspective, right? So, how do you begin when you're starting to adapt messaging for different regions? Are you paying like attention to cultural differences? What are you looking at there? And do you have examples?
Every country is a single project. We need to be relevant to their people. So a template can work in Brazil. The triggers in the communication, the kind of template, the images, everything's matter. So when I get a winner template in Brazil, not always it's gonna work in other countries because that works in Brazil, not in Argentina, not in Chile, not in India, not in Pakistan. So sometimes does it work, but not every time. So after those years in this global operation, I think the most valuable thing we have learned is study the country, study the population, study what they need, study the macroeconomic situation of a country. We also try to create a playbook for every country. Don't have a single playbook for the whole operation.
I love that so much because very often I work with clients who are based in the US. So they're like North American senders. And I'm of course in Toronto in Canada. And they use like the exact same email templates for English speaking Canada as they would for most of the US. And there's just kind of a miss in that there are real differences in the way that you should be communicating to different countries, even if they're speaking the same language. So I really appreciate that level of research that goes into it.
Culture, I just forgot to mention like the distribution of the providers in some countries change everything. Like in North America, we have like 95% of our base is Gmail, but in Argentina, it's only 80%. So that difference is just 15%, right? Yeah, but that changed so much our strategies because Hotmail, Microsoft, Outlook, Live, they have a different rule from Gmail. So I need to adapt to that, right, Guy?
100%. And I agree absolutely with Danielle. I love the amount of preparation that you guys are putting in as you make each new move. And I wanted to come back to something you mentioned a moment ago, where you talked about data being like glue. And I love that analogy. You know, it basically provides cohesion. It sort of sticks together all the other parts of your marketing strategy. But of course, when you're relying on data that heavily, you're also relying on the quality of the data that your customers are giving to you. And as we know, that can be tricky. So I guess my question is how you ensure that the data is reliable, especially in your case. Sometimes your users might take the quizzes several times to see if they get a different answer or a better deal, or, maybe they're even trying to game the system. So, how do you try and make sure that your new customers are giving you the best and most reliable data possible that's going to drive the rest of your program?
You are pretty much right. Like the user fill up the quiz like 3 times in a single session to see if they got like a different indication. Oh, but your situation is just one. You need a credit card for this situation, but the user insists to fill up the forms like 3, 4, 5 times to see what they got, right? A solution for that is like sometimes ignoring some events, like if the user make a quiz completed event in like 5 times in a session, I really don't need to get all these 5 events. So in our database, we know every time the user fill up a forms, or every time they open an email, if the user open like an email 3 times and click 2 times, I have all those datas. Okay, so I can treat them on the way I need to treat them. To make the right segmentation, like we have like automated flows that triggers every time the user make an event. So imagine if I consider the 5 quiz completed events to send an email, the user gonna get 5 emails in a row. That doesn't make sense, right? It's like, oh, oh, I fill up the quiz 5 times, so I get 5 emails, right? No, that's a kind of stuff we need to figure out. To do not send too much emails for the user. So if the user complete the quiz once a day or 10 times a day, he's gonna get just one email and gonna enter in the flow just one time. So the data is important to fix those flows, right?
That leads us perfectly into activation. So, activation is critical for you guys. Can you walk us through your activation process and tell us about what happens during those crucial first 48 hours to drive engagement? And also, how do you filter out low intent subscribers through activation?
Yeah, that's a really important point of our operations, because that's we think the 48 hours from the quiz completed, like the subscription, is the most important timestamp of the user, because at this time he's going to show me if they need to keep on my list or not. So if my content is relevant or not for them. So every time a user make a subscription, I have a activation process that at the most countries is 48 hours. In these 48 hours, depends on the country, is gonna get some emails during those 2 days, and I will always be checking the user behavior to see if he's gonna keep on my list or if I gonna remove them from my list. So in these 48 hours, I just need to see if he's gonna open or click if some of my mails, is gonna respond any of my contents, if he's going to visit my website. So then I could say the user really needs to be on that list, so that my content is relevant for them. Uh, and we have different kinds of automations and flows to make those 48 hours works better on each country. But we really have some difficulties. Like in India, my activation is like, oh, I don't really need to see those metrics. But and I go to Norway, for example, I have 80% activation tax. So we have different tax of activation in the whole operation. As I say, the Norway I have 80, I have 40 in India. So I need to really test every time the template, the communication, the link, the content link I'm sent to the user. If the template is fitting to the phone of the user. Most of the user is searching on mobile, so everything needs to be checked up every time, and that's the most relevant part of our funnel. Just after this interaction, the user keep on our list, and that's the way they follow up.
I think obviously you've expanded into so many countries, you're global now. That's a success story in and of itself. Guy and I love a success story, but we also love to hear about when something may have gone wrong, especially if it was a real learning opportunity and created some sort of interesting change for the business. So do you have any whoopsie stories that you can share with us?
Yeah, for sure. I keep saying here in Utua that the just when the plan goes wrong is when we learn something, because every time is everything fine. I'm just keep the flow, right? But when something is going really really bad, we have to turn ourselves around and make some decisions to see what we got, right? I have a really great story that once ago in Brazil, we had a campaign that we have set up the segmentation wrong. So the email that is needs to get in 1,000 users, they get to 1,000,000 users.
Oh boy. Okay.
How we how we fix a huge mistake like that? I was supposed to send 10% of this volume. I send 1,000,000. What the heck is what? I don't have words to represent my feeling at this situation, because it's 10 times volume higher that I was not expecting to send, and guy can truly defend myself that email providers don't like that. They like everything stable. They like everything in the conformity of what you were sending. How you send like 10 times volume from a day to another. So we need to figure out how the impact is gonna uh, like how the metric is gonna be impacted, like the open rates, the click rates, and everything else. At this time, we had like a huge amount of spam and blocks. That was terrible for the operation. But everything is fixable. So the days after this situation, we have decreased our volume, we have closed our segmentation, we have tried to clean up our list, like everything who mark spam or gave marks like some block or bounce or something. We clean up our list from these users because they are just trash. So that was a great situation that we learned so much from that. Like to check up every time I will send a campaign, I have to make like 10 check boxes if my segmentation is correct. But that's something like that.
It's amazing how often sort of, a good outcome can come from the initial screw up. I mean, I remember we once sent a German language creative to our Brazilian customers and sort of realized too late. And then suddenly discovered there's a load of German speakers in Brazil. And, they were like delighted. So
working with is 48 countries, sometimes it's of course like a really beautiful template works in somewhere, and the team shares the template, and someone just like it translates just a part of the template and the other part is not translated. So I'm sent like in Indie to United States, like who is this people watching my email?
I literally got an email this morning from a company promoting their personalization services, and it did go dear first name. Anyway, Rodrigo, this has been such a good conversation, but we need to start wrapping it up. And I wanted to ask you, sort of final question from me. We've covered so much ground today, but if you had just one piece of advice for any email program that's starting to make plans to move into a new market, what would that piece of advice be?
Study a lot, study every country, study the infrastructure configuration, study DNS, study everything you can, because as we were saying at this conversation, every country is like a mystery. You don't know what you're gonna get the first time. make sure you test everything, make sure you have a great amount of data so you can check everything's right or everything's wrong. But you need to know every country as a single product, every country as a single segmentation, as a single population. And if you try very, very hard every day to fix your metrics, the metric is gonna say if you're gonna scale or if you're gonna fail.
The metrics are gonna say what?
Mystery. The metric is going to say if you're gonna scale or fail.
Scale, fail. That's
you cannot,
great one.
Yeah. You cannot increase your volume if your open rate is like 10%. I think
I think we can. Wise, sage advice.
For listeners interested in connecting with you or learning more about your work, can they reach out to you, LinkedIn or something like that?
Yeah, I'm gonna send you the links to give you on the description. Everyone can find me on LinkedIn, Rodrigo Melo Brandão. We have also the LinkedIn of Utua, so you can search our company there. And someone who needs to chat me or email me, rodrigo.brandão@utua.com.br. They can find me and we can speak about everything they need.
That's awesome. I reckon you're going to get a few of our listeners taking you up on that offer. To our listeners, be sure to tune in again in 2 weeks' time. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And also don't forget to visit senderscore.org for even more resources to help you become a stronger sender.
Guy and I are always super proud of the guests who join us on Email After Hours, and we're always looking for new guests to come and join us for future episodes too. So if you'd like to join us on an upcoming episode, drop a comment or ping us on LinkedIn or go to the show notes and enter your info. If you would like to send us your email marketing hot takes, questions, queries, you can email us at emailafterhours@validity.com or even send us a juicy audio message by going to the show notes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Be sure to tune in next time and hit subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And don't forget to visit senderscore.com for loads more great resources to help you become a stronger sender.
To all you sleepless senders out there, thank you for joining us after hours, and see you next time.